appreciate you taking the time out to come on Let's Chat. My channel, I've been a big fan. I've been watching your work for so long. I was introduced to you by watching a video from Jason Works, and this is the first time he introduced the corn bangle, and he got some info from you, and he shared your Instagram on that video, and I know you worked with him closely on him doing the bangle and I think the tools and everything, and that's one thing that I was so impressed about, that it went from coin rings to now these other creations, and my mind was blown last year. And I'm like, man, I just learned how to make a coin ring. Now I gotta look at how to make a bangle. This is amazing. So from that video, he introduced you on Instagram, and as soon as I found it, I went right to your Instagram, and I've been impressed ever since with all the information. And you know I love your posts. I think I probably respond to your posts as early as 2 a.m. in the morning here in Baltimore. I'm checking out your posts, and from that I felt that I gained some information on you based on what you post, your certain philosophy. But most importantly, when I saw your work, that's when I said, man, I'm really intrigued. So having you here and having the opportunity to share you with the people in the chat is paramount. So welcome.
Thank you so much. It's really an honor to be here, JT. So I appreciate the kind words very much.
Awesome.
But it is my absolute honor to be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I was saying, I didn't say congratulations on the addition of the little alchemist in the family.
That's right.
Congratulations. I know that the biggest thing with that is finding places in the house of quiet, and also places you can get some rest. Because
yes.
Having a newborn is something else. Congratulations on that as well. So basically, tell me a little bit, tell the people in the chat, who is El Chavez?
That's a broad question. Well, my name is Lauro. I just use my first initial as sort of a pseudonym mark for my work as an artist. But I guess the short version is I was born in Texas, joined the military, spent the better half of a decade in the United States Army, and I've always been a study of all of the arts, really. And so I live in Arizona now, and where I do my day craft as well as the coin artwork. But there's the short answer to not get too elongated in it.
Now the biggest thing is, now you told me who's Lauro Chavez, and this is some of the things that I found out on Instagram. I have being a new dad, and but being a soldier, being a veteran, also. But you took on this moniker, this I say, like, it's not, I won't say a character, because I believe that your philosophy, it's in this work. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just, when I first saw you, you had the glasses on, and I saw the skull in the back. I seen the lights, and I was like, what's going on here? Now, my workbench looks nothing like this. So it was more of an experience. There we go. Now, this right here, is this still Lauro, or is this the Lord of the Coin Rings?
Well, it's a good question. So I think we all wear masks when it's appropriate. And the glasses really were a safety issue for me when using the Dremel tools and some of the polishing wheels, and most certainly doing some of the melting work. Anytime you smelt, it's real important to protect your eyes, not only from the brightness of the metal when it reaches that vibrational state, but also in case something occurs. If I got some burns to my face or my arms, I'd be okay, but losing my eyes is certainly not an option. So
right.
I think when I do my artwork, and I sit here at my bench, I'm most certainly putting on the persona of an alchemist, of the Lord of the Coin Rings. to try to sit into that seat to perform this art. And so I just believe that it gave a little more substance to just folding metal.
Yeah, I agree. Because what I found out, like before I go into that, what was the first coin ring you ever made? What was the first one?
I think like most coin artists, and this may be assuming a lot, but the first coin ring that I made was out of a regular old quarter from your pocket. It wasn't anything fancy. It was probably from the 2000s era, just for practice. I probably made a couple hundred of them, to be honest. And I don't even have the first coin ring I ever made because it looked like crap. So
Yeah, I think that definitely when I first started, I was like, "What is this?" I would show my family, and they were not impressed. They thought I was like, "What are you doing? What are you trying to do?" I said, "I'm trying to make it look like this." And I tell you, my first couple were not looking like anything like the picture. So I definitely understand. What drawed you to even coming into doing coin art?
Well, that's a good question. My initial motivation was to produce a 24 karat gold coin ring, or ring in general, for myself, my wedding band here.
Hmm.
And I'd gone to several jewelers in my town asking if they would be interested in taking on the work of producing me a 24 karat gold ring for my wedding band. And I spoke to about 4 different jewelers, and none of them would take the work because they told me that pure gold could not be worn, that it was too soft.
Mm-hmm.
And out of frustration, I went back to my home, and I was browsing YouTube and came across Jason's Works coin ring channel.
Okay.
And this is when Jason's Works was still very, very, very new. And it was at that point that I realized that I could, because I had a gold coin that I was bringing to these jewelers saying, "I have pure gold, in this coin. Can you please melt it and make me a ring?" And they were like, you can't wear 24 karat. It has to be 22, or more likely 18.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got home and I stumbled across Jason's Works channel on YouTube, I think the universe speaks to us when it needs to, as long as we're
Right.
listening. And so that started a journey into forming these rings from coins for the purpose of making myself a 24 karat gold coin ring.
Wow.
That is now worn as my wedding band. So that's really what motivated me to get into this. And of course, I think we're always surprised at the path that we think we're walking, and then when we see it, it's not what we started out doing. And this has just really been an evolution of that primary desire, I think, to have that 24 karat gold. That
Wow.
24
I stumbled across Skylar Jenkins, and that's when I seen mint coins you can wear. And the first one I've seen was the gold coin, and I said, "Well, man, why do I need all this equipment to do the cast wax? I can just use a coin." and I just followed that procedure, and voila! And I just said, "This is what I'll do." Still learning. I'm still in I think my infancy stage, because I've only been doing it for like about maybe 7-8 months, per se. But I thought it was the most amazing thing to do things with your hands. So me being the first thing, I never done anything with my hands. Now, other than change a tire, maybe change oil. But other than that, I'm a klutz when it comes down to doing anything, putting up cabinets, anything. My wife definitely says hire someone. So you making your wedding band. So stumbling across that, how did you advance? What was the next step?
Well, good question. And Skylar was certainly a mentor. I'll say the two mentors that I had in this art were Jason's Work and Skylar at the Mint. And at the time that I started, everybody was no one had made a gold coin ring. I still believe that I'm the first person in the world to have created a coin ring out of 24 karat gold. And later, Skylar did the class on it where he posted it on his website.
Right.
But he was certainly a mentor with the Morgan dollars and the Liberty dollars, and of course quarters as well. So I don't want to take away from his great work, because I think we're all here because of two teachers, and that's Skylar and Jason.
Yes.
But from the coin rings, the coin bangle and the Arcane Spinner and the spirit boxes were really just imaginative creations that I have while I'm sitting here and I'm looking at these things, and I get these ideas in my head, and I really just need to try to carry them through and carry them out. It's there's something, like you said, there's something very satisfying about creating with your hands.
Right. And that's what next question I wanted to lead into. What is your favorite precious metal to work with? What was your most favorite?
Gold, by far. I think it's just an amazing substance in general. It doesn't matter what you do with it. It always mesmerizes the beholder. And I think that the formation of gold and how it's formed in the universe is really important as to why we really hold it so high and are always so just mesmerized by the sight of it and the feel of it. And there's a lot of people that have never really held 24 karat solid gold in their hands.
Right.
It's something that I wish more people could experience. But it takes two neutron stars colliding into one another in the galaxy, an event that is in the ones of billions probability to occur, in order to create an explosion that creates heat enough to create gold in the universe. And it's from there it's blown out into the universe. And so that reaction that happens is just such a rare event, even in the cosmos.
Right. And
so to create gold and to be able to hold it and manipulate it is just absolutely the best metal to work with, in my opinion.
That's crazy. And you know what? Just for you explaining that, they call gold like God's money when it comes up. Just to realize how precious metals are so important, and how the creation of it is just it's amazing. So you explaining that story, it makes me think about how privileged I am is to hold a coin, a 24 karat gold in my hand in that form. So one thing I learned about making coin rings is there's like a set number of rules. But you being an alchemist, and how did you change or improve on those rules? There's a certain way to make coin rings, but you have found a creative way to understand in chemistry and science in doing yours. And I found it out by watching your Monday class, is what I call it. So tell me, how do you make yours different? What's your process in making coin rings?
Well, I think there are a certain set of rules. The rules really apply simply to the modification of shapes. These shapes are based on substances, in this case, metals. In my case, pure metals, because as you know, I only work with pure metals.
Right.
Improvement really comes in the form of efficiency and also, I guess, of individuality. And so I do modify some of the rules. And one way that I modify the rules is by the use of EMI, or electromagnetic heat induction. And so I created my electromagnetic induction machine in order to provide a substitute for traditional methods, which in this case would be fire. But because fire in certain closed spaces and in certain even public spaces is kind of dangerous, I looked to other ways in our technology capabilities as a civilization on what could be used to assist me in my production of these pieces of work that wasn't a traditional method that we were familiar with. Essentially fire, water, pressure, and pressure comes from the tonnage that is used either in a hydraulic press, or in my case a manual hand press.
Right.
But I really just think that we still have to stick to the rules of geometry and to the rules of thermodynamics with these metals. So I just simply found another way to solve the problem that I don't think was being looked at that particular time.
Right, and that's what I find amazing, because I've only seen torches used used in coin ring making. So when I seen that you used electromagnetic waves, people always tell me to make sure that I don't overheat the metal because of reticulation of the fibers in the pure metal. So that's always been something I try to take care of. When you're using that method of electromagnetic waves, do you have to worry about that because you're warming up the pure metal from inside out? So I've seen it the non-ferrous and also the ferrous metals that you show in the examples. Can you explain a little bit more about that for those who don't understand?
Sure, absolutely. To answer your first question, I absolutely have to pay attention to temperatures. I think it's often misunderstood that we have to get a metal red hot in order to manipulate its current positioning, right? Its current shape set. And that's not necessarily true. I think it just comes with experimentation and understanding the metal that you're working with at what levels of vibration, right, at frequency. In this case, applied by certain different types of heat, right, whether by flame or by EMI, where that frequency needs to be in order for us to be able to modify it without structurally damaging the structural integrity of the coin edifice, the imagery that's on the coin, as well as burning the outside of the coin itself. So electromagnetic induction and electromagnetic heat induction specifically is based on an oscillating magnetic current that is projected using a coil set made of copper. And so the oscillation reacts to all metals. And there's a misnomer that electromagnetic heat induction refers only to metals that are of magnetic properties, and that's simply not the case. All forms of alloys react in an electromagnetic oscillating current. The difference is that they react at different times. So as an example, you'd mentioned ferrous and non-ferrous. A non-ferrous metal is simply a metal that is absent of iron alloy or iron content at all. So when you talk about 999 gold or 999 silver, and in layman's term, that's 24 karat copper as well. We have a solid, almost within a 100th micron, 100% pure alloy that doesn't have any trace elements of iron at all. All of those have been removed. And so non-ferrous metals react in the coil, but they react at a slower pace. So as an example, a non-ferrous metal like gold being held inside of the electromagnetic field takes roughly 45 to 55 seconds to reach a temperature of 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, when we talk about the opposite spectrum of ferrocity, where we're talking about a ferrous metal, now we have iron that is most certainly present in the alloy makeup. This can be referred to in times as in simple example here is stainless steel, dinner fork, or something from your kitchenware. That is going to be a ferrous metal. It's going to have elements of iron that help bind that alloy together. Anytime you have iron, it reacts about 36 times faster than a non-ferrous metal. So the same weight is an example. If I took a 1 ounce coin and a non-ferrous coin, a gold coin, and I held it in the coil, it would take about 50 seconds to reach 150 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
The same amount of ferrous metal would take about 3.5 seconds to reach 150 degrees Fahrenheit. So in 35 seconds, with a ferrous metal, we can get at temperatures over 700 degrees very quickly.
Wow. Which that can be very dangerous.
Absolutely.
You definitely have to still worry about the risk of injuring yourself. You know what I'm saying? And also, others in that it's really fast. I didn't know it was that fast. And I've definitely seen the examples of you putting the pocket knife along with putting the coin, but I always see you always put safety first because you always have your gloves on as before you go to put the coin on the ring stretcher. So what is your background? Are you a scientist? Were you a biology major? Was you a chemistry major? Your explanation of the sciences are so clear.
So, I'm not. I think I'm a self-study. I'm a self-taught scientist. I'm a self-taught, and I think science really just means your approach to how you solve problems and how you work through your protocols in order to reach an end state, right? There's a scientific method that's applied, and so that is the science that I speak. But I am not a scholar, a scientist, or chemist. What I know, I've learned simply through the desire of self-study and the desire. So I am a electronic alchemist by trade. So I do technology for a living. So that is really my trade. But the other arts and the other areas of science have always been a fascination to me. And I like to be a Da Vinci. I like to be a master of many things. I like to say that education never has an end. So what I know is simply been self-taught and self-practiced through trial and error.
It's definitely awesome because, like I said, I feel like I get to know you based off what you put out, and fortunately, we can learn a lot about people by the information they put on social media. And now I'm not saying I know the whole entire person, but what I've experienced, I find inspiration in. And number one is some of the posts you put in are from great, maybe great quotes throughout history. I wanted to find the one that it kind of inspired me. It was one talking about the spirit of man. And I was like, good gracious. This is when I knew that it was self-study. But I found out it was a little bit more, maybe a month, maybe 2 months ago, when you were going through the physical alchemy of when you was changing and creating this superhuman. I'll say you was putting yourself through certain conditions of dealing with cold water, and you was doing the morning meditations and also the morning ritual of drinking the beet juice. So this is when I knew this is a real life alchemist that I'm experiencing here. Can you explain that process, how you use these philosophies, not just in your metal making, but also in your life?
Well, the physical world and the world inside of us, the metaphysical world, are really just reflections of one another. I think it's important to understand what it is we are inside and understand what our physiology, each of us individually, is telling us to do. I like to say that the greatest journey that man will ever take, and I mean human, not necessarily the sex of man, but the greatest journey that humans will ever take is not into space, but it's into here, it's into the self. So practicing the alchemical arts also involves you can't limit it to just one thing. It requires you to be self-aware and also to look at the mirror outcome of what is outside of us that first begins inside of us. Everything that you see outside in the physical world, your sign, this technology that we're using right now to do a live stream, it all started with a thought.
Yeah. And
so it's very important that we keep the purity of our thoughts and the purity of our lives very, very strict, in my opinion, because it is a direct reflection of the work that we produce. So the cold therapy was a journey that I still practice. I still take many cold showers. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, so unfortunately the cold water coming out of the tap is still about 87 degrees right now in the summertime. Right. So I'm not getting the true cold therapy as I was in January, but as you'll see coming up in November, December, January, I'll be utilizing the pool again because it will, after about December 1st, it should maintain a temperature of about 38 degrees Fahrenheit. And there is a great power that comes from pushing the limits of what we believed that we were only capable of, and finding out that we were capable of so much more. And so, like the cold therapy, the snake juice that you're referring to, and for people who are curious, on my profile I have a recipe for it. It's been deemed or dubbed the Chavez snake juice, but it's comprised really of just 4 ingredients. The first ingredient is lacto fermented, very important, lacto fermented organic 100% beet juice. Okay, it doesn't have any apple juice or other types of juices. It is simply 100% lacto fermented beet juice is the main ingredient. The second main ingredient is fresh squeezed lemon juice. The content of lemon juice can vary depending on how tart you like it, but the more lemon you have, the more purification properties you're going to get in your gut biome and in your body's stomach biome, your digestive tract. The other ingredient is 100% organic turmeric. It's very easy to tell if a turmeric has not been organically ground. You can light it on fire. If it catches fire, it's the real deal. If it doesn't catch fire, it's probably not organic.
Wow.
And the third, the fourth ingredient, excuse me, is black pepper.
Okay.
And black pepper contains a few enzymes that assist the turmeric in digesting properly inside of the stomach. And so it's simply an accelerator for digestion properties. And so that is something that I did because I, like many of us, have had poor eating habits for long periods of time, except that I started to have gallbladder issues, and I knew they were my gallbladder. I understand the physiology of my body and the physiology of the human body, and the pain that I was having wasn't muscle. It was a dull organ type pain. And the only thing that I had on that side in that area that could have had that pain was my gall from poor eating habits. And the circumstances were the pain was to the point where I needed to make a choice. I needed to make a choice on having my gallbladder removed or drastically change the way that I was looking at nutrient supplements for my body and eating food, right? Let's just say I needed to eat better.
Right.
But more than eat better, I needed some form of an emergency resolve. And so, being an alchemist, an organic alchemist as well, and making essential oils and whatnot, I started researching the benefits of turmeric and the benefits of beet juice, and most certainly lemon juice. And with these things, I just started putting this drink together, and I drank it twice a day the first week for 4 days in a row. And by day 5, my pain had completely gone away. And by the second week of drinking this, my symptoms had completely gone. I instantaneously noticed a difference in the energy levels, in the way that my body was responding when I woke up, when I needed to do actual work. I didn't feel this ailment that had been kind of a cloud over me for so much time. And so I've tapered off, and I still drink the concoction at least twice a week as sort of a preventative maintenance. And I really enjoy the benefits that I feel from drinking that. But that's sort of the short version. I apologize for
no
stretching
problem.
that.
It just shows me the depth, the depth that you go into and really understanding yourself, understanding your body. And that's what I got from that whole demonstration. I tried it. I tried at least the cold shock therapy. I also looked at the inspiration. The gentleman's name has I had definitely
Wim Hof.
Yeah, Wim Hof. And I thought he was extraordinary with his methods. I'll get on and try it again. I didn't go to the extreme, but I thought it was so interesting because I know I do have those same bad habits, and I want to get that in order. But in the gist of being an alchemist, understanding not just what you do with your craft, but also taking that and transmuting that to your life. This is when I was really inspired by your post and what you was putting out and sharing with the world, with over 68,000 people, I may say, on your Instagram following. One of the things that I like is the creations and how you use alchemy and the understanding the science to do the things, but you create, and the creation portion is what I find a big interest in. How did you create a coin bangle. Can you please, how did you even fathom that thought?
Well, I think Einstein said that a problem cannot be solved in the same dimensions in which created it. And so it's a complicated way to say that we have to think outside of the box, the normal paradigm of our thinking.
Mm-hmm.
The idea itself is not my own. It's actually my wife's.
Oh, wow.
So, when I was making coin rings from pure metal coins, because I couldn't wear copper, it turns my skin. Even a Morgan dollar with, just 10% copper will still cause my skin to green. And so very quickly, when I started producing coin rings, I went from learning how to make them with copper clad coins to producing them full time in pure metal only and refusing completely to work in clad. And my wife, a lot of the coin rings that I made were out of a 1 ounce coin round or a ½ ounce round, and they were just too large for her. She wanted to be she wanted to support me because she's just an awesome human being and I love her to death. And so she would wear these rings that I would make her, but they weren't comfortable for her. And so one day I was working on, some coin rings, and she came by and she said, it would be really cool if you could get one of those big enough to be a bangle bracelet. And that right there caused me to stop and go, why couldn't you make a bangle bracelet? It's just a matter of overcoming the requirements and the frequencies required to get a piece of metal that large. And so it took me about 3.5 to 4 months of gathering equipment, trial and error, study, reverse engineering what I had already broken and where I had failed to finally produce a bangle bracelet that was 3.5 inches in diameter and would fit over a man's hand. The first one I made was about 2.60 in diameter, and that my wife still has those that I made for her, and I think she's got about 14 of them. So some days she wears a whole stack, some days she wears one, but it was really my wife that gave me the inspiration to make it, and it was a problem that I welcomed because no one had done this, no one had even thought to do it.
Right.
And so I was really inspired by, again, the universe speaks to us, we have to listen, and that was the universe saying, hey, you can make coin rings, that's great, but this is something different. This is something that will challenge not only you, but challenge everybody else who tries to come after you to make one of these.
Yes, and I agree 100%. Now, the biggest thing that I recognize is that coin rings look great, but you don't see a lot of women who may wear coin rings. But that was a perfect opportunity, and not saying that the bangles only just for women, but I'm just saying that was a perfect opportunity to bring women into the mix, because when I first saw it, I was like, good gracious, something else to learn. And the process seemed daunting because it was a 1 ounce coin stretched big enough to put on someone's wrist. So just that thought process, I said, man, this is amazing. I definitely got to learn how to do it. I'm going to show a picture. If you can find.
I have some here.
Oh, awesome. Great. These are some. I'm speaking to Lord Chavez, the Lord of the Coin Rings. Right now, he's showing his creation, bangle. These are bracelets made out of 1 ounce coins, correct?
That is correct.
He also have patina, rainbow patina, per silver. Have you tried any with gold yet?
Absolutely. Very delicate, unfortunately, because gold, being a soft metal, has a certain structural integrity that's based on a thickness. So the thinner you get it, the less structural integrity it has. So unfortunately, in a bangle, while I have made a few of those, my wife actually has one. I probably should have brought that in here, but it's so fragile. It's one of those black dress event things that you wear when you're not going to go out and party, you're just going to go to dinner, or you're going to, take photographs, that sort of thing. Because for everyday wear, unfortunately, it's not practical because of the thinness. And that allows it to be able to be very to be bent very easily. Now, a cuff bracelet, and I just sold another one of those 24 karat gold cuff bracelets out of a gold coin is a better option.
Okay.
Because unlike the bangle, and this is what makes a gold bangle difficult, is you see how it hangs down here on the bottom of my hand?
Yes.
On my wrist rather. When you set your hand down, you're gonna bang that. And so setting your hand down on a table is enough to bend a 24 karat solid gold bangle bracelet, whereas a 1 ounce silver round like this will simply move and not bend. Now these can be bent because they are pure silver, but not as easily as a pure gold one.
Okay.
So the cuff bracelet is a better option for 24 karat because it hugs the wrist, and there's less of a chance of you rolling it onto something and causing that kind of a structural change to the roundness. You would be sending it back to me to be recircumed
Right.
quite often, unfortunately. So it just wasn't while they are a beautiful specimen, they're not suited for everyday wear. It's more of a novelty item to say that you have one.
Definitely something beautiful. I think I did see it posted, what you recently did, a gold bangle, if I'm not mistaken. Now I have my question is, let me see where's this one at? Okay. Do you think coin rings are seen as real jewelry by general public, or just a novelty creation?
So my opinion is that I think it's important that just people see them however they want. I think as long as they see them, and this places these pieces of craftsmanship really into the public eye, into the people, and into humanity by nature of that. And so I think that provocation of creation and imagination is a good thing, regardless of how you want to label it, whether you want to label it a novelty or you want to label it as jewelry. I think it's a form of art that the world needs to know about. And so I think in any facet that we can put this out there is a good thing.
Got you. And that's, to me, is that I'm seeing that coin rings are starting to be everywhere. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't before, but I was approached recently from a coin and jewelry store that wanted to put coin rings in their shop. And I was like, wow, that's big to me, because it gives opportunity for people to see coin rings at a different light, to see the beauty of them, the detail that goes along in them, and the work that people put into it. I have another question I wanted to ask about coin collectors and enthusiasts carry favorite coins in their pocket as pocket pieces. The Arcane Spinner is so creative. What was your inspiration in creating that?
Good question. I think by nature I'm a busy-handed person.
Okay.
I like to stay busy, and I have, maybe like many of us, nervous habits that involve snapping fingers, whistling, wanting to have that outlet of fidgeting, because we feel more comfortable when we multitask. So multitasking makes me feel relaxed at times, and that may be kind of difficult to understand for some people that don't have that same, I guess, paradigm in their activities. But having a spinner in one hand while I'm doing other things seems to allow me better concentration for the tasks that I'm doing. So if I'm reading or trying to comprehend a new idea or a new theory, or just general knowledge, by having that spinner in my hand, really kind of gives me a better sense of allowing my brain to take in the information and better retain it because of the multitask. And I think it's just how we're wired. I know for a fact it's how I'm wired, but after trying lots of spinners, because I would go out like many who enjoy this type of thing, and I would buy the ceramic bearing style spinners, the same types of bearing that are used in skateboard wheels and those sorts of things, rollerblade wheels. And I decided to create my own based on an old press bearing that was used to crush lumps of coal in old coal power plants. They had a really strange looking bearing that had an off-rounded middle. And what would happen is they had several hundred of these inside of a big round barrel, and they put the coal in there for the, to be used to be burned, but it needs to be broken down into a finer powder. And they use these sort of interesting bearings to do that. And my wife's mother gifted me one. She worked at a coal plant, and we were at her house one day, and she just, again, the universe, she just was like, oh, this is something you might like. Not even knowing anything about me, she handed me this bearing, and I was immediately just infatuated with it, and how it was made, and how it was worn down, and the action that it had. And you could actually take it apart. You could separate the middle from the outside ring very precariously with a certain alignment. And so the alignment had to be precise, but you could actually take it apart. Well, it unfortunately it was very heavy, and it was rusted, and so it wasn't something good that you would want to keep in your pocket. Being a believer in pure metals, I imagined how to create a similar application using the shapes that can be applied from coins. So simple in design and complex in the setting operation, right? So the design's simple, but to set them correctly so that they operate is a very complex procedure. Essentially it's a satisfying hand toy, because you're holding a pure metal, and it's not going to react with your skin. And so that's really that's really kind of the basis of why I did it. Is I needed something better to fidget with than what was being produced out there in mainstream.
Well, let me tell you something. I've definitely, when I can get my funds together, I've seen some beautiful ones you put together, and I want. And the reason why I say this is a 3.0 of a pocket piece is because you put gold coins in this fidget. I won't say a fidget spinner, the Arcane Spinner, and this is it right here, and it's absolutely beautiful. He puts also jewels, certain stones he put in it as well. I've seen one that you put a there you go. Also, I think you put a panda in one of the Arcane Spinners. I've also seen you put an ancient coin in it as well. I think something recently. So that's why I say this is a pocket piece 3.0. This is something definitely for a person who loves precious metals, the pure metals, a person who loves coins. This could be a perfect gift, but it just shows a different style. It's almost like a beautiful watch, like something that just a conversation piece. But the piece you did recently, if you can explain just the coin and show it was I think an ancient coin, and it was about a kingdom, I believe.
Yes, this one here.
Yes, can you explain
forgive the lighting. Absolutely. So this coin is from the ancient civilization of Ceylon, which is in modern day Sri Lanka. And so this coin pictures the king of Ceylon, which was a kingdom of candy with a K. It's interesting. But the kingdom of Ceylon was ruled by the king of candy, who produced this coin, which is referred to as Octoman. So this is from 1200 to 1205 AD. And it's really just it's a bronze coin. And I apologize that, maybe I can swing the light over here to better assist this, the view here. But yeah, it's just, unfortunately, it's not.
There we go. I see it.
It's just not good lighting here for this type of show, but a very cool coin. And then with just just to have a piece of ancient history, I think is just a lot of fun.
Right.
A lot of coin collectors will take something like this and just put it in their safe, or they'll have it in one of the PGS bricks or something like that. And so this was a way to be able to enjoy the coin without really truly fear of losing it or mixing it in with the rest of your change. But it was one of those kind of things where I obtained a couple of these coins and thought, it's a really neat coin. I can't enjoy it. It would be better enjoyed if it was in a spinner. And so that's really kind of how this one came about. And I've got another one here that, let's see if I can find it. that I'm going to be doing here soon. And this is a denier, and this is from Jerusalem in the 14th century. And so on one side it has the Templar cross,
Right.
and on the other side it has the Western Wall of Jerusalem. And so just a very spiritual based, Christian based coin. Not that religion has anything to do with it, but just such a marking place in our history, where the Templar Knights were protecting pilgrims from going back and forth to this place. It was their job. And so they had created a version of money, the denier, and this is what they used in Jerusalem at that time. And so this, it's actually housed in a plastic case. And so the plastic case will be included in the spinner, so that when you spin it, it won't damage the BU rating of the coin. And in worst case, the same with the gold, which is why I think gold is a great idea for the spinner. Is that if you're someplace and something happens, you can take a few tools and you can take this gold coin out and you can go to any pawn shop and you can get the value of gold for it.
Yeah.
And so it's instantaneous value. And I don't, all of these spinners, there's no glue and there's no solder that is used to hold the spinner in place. It operates designed on essentially a pressure physics mechanism that has been used by ancient civilizations for long periods of time. So it's simple in design, but the setting of it has to be very precise so that it operates very, very effectively without coming into pieces. It's really
coming apart.
Correct.
And
correct.
And the way that you make it is also a way to protect that coin, because it's like in the concave. So all that is into play when you're thinking about the creation of this. How many have you made since day one?
I think at this point I'm up to about 50, right around, give or take a few. I kind of lose count. I certainly have some that I can show you. One, I guess, is I have several that are not for sale.
Okay.
I make them for my own collection. This one here is called the Philosopher's Stone, and that is a 16 karat yellow corundum, which is also, corundum is the same material that we refer to rubies and sapphires out of.
Okay.
So if it's a blue corundum, we call it a sapphire. If it is a red corundum, we call it a ruby, but both are made from the same material. Yellow, however, is the most rare color in this material that comes from the earth. And so lots of factories can create these through chemical reaction inside of a vacuum, inside of a vacuum space, and it takes a lot of equipment to do such. This particular one is earth mined from California, probably one of the only ones of this size in existence, and it's in what I refer to as a triple spinner. So as you can see, it's got the three rings that all spin, and then the middle one is not round. It's rather oblong, like a cat's eye.
Right.
So this is one of the private collection that's not for sale, but I couldn't enjoy this stone. It simply sat in the safe, and so I do make several of them that are for my own personal collection that are not for sale. But I think I'm up to about 50 at this point. I've got quite a lengthy number of individuals that are kind of wanting to get one of these. And what I like to say is that I make, sometimes I'll come in here and I'll spend 3 hours and I'll make a spinner, and I don't know who it's for.
Right.
But the universe tells me that I need to make this spinner out of this particular thing, and I'll make one and I'll put it on my story, and its owner will come and find it within 24 hours usually.
That's awesome.
So I think that's kind of, no two are ever the same. I simply don't make them out of the same material, out of the same coins. I don't make them the same way. They're always slightly different, so that everybody who has one has a chance to have that individuality, to have that something that is special to them, that will be special to no one else but them.
Right. That's a beautiful analogy. Guys, I'm talking to Laurel Chavez, the Lord of the Coin Rings, and we're talking about his creations for those who just came in. We will be giving out one of his creations right here in this box. A lucky winner will have an opportunity to open it up. The only thing I have to ask is that when you get it, make sure you put it on your social media. Make sure you do a video of it, because I would like to see it and also see your expression on your face when you receive it. Laurel, do you have one of the spirit boxes
Sure.
near you? Can you show that?
I do. I sure can. So this is the copper spirit box that is going to be in there, and again, I apologize for the lighting in my office here. But this is the top. It's essentially made from 3 1-ounce coins. So the top produces the lid, and then I have one that produces the side, and of course there is the inside of the box and the bottom. And so this is a product of stretching one coin as large as the base coin, and I'd use the same method to create this middle layer as I do to create a bangle bracelet. So it's quite a challenge to get a coin this large. It's about, I think 1.7 inches in diameter, to get a coin this large to fit over the other coin. And then of course I use silver solder in a really, I do an arcane method of welding. A lot of people believe that I use a jewelry torch, but I don't. I use this right here. I do all of my welding. I do all of my very detailed work. Example on this spinner here. This is the one-eyed man.
Wow, and that's gold.
And so that's 24 karat solid gold, and he has one eye and the other eye is missing. But in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, and so that is the basis behind this coin series of spinners. But all of that small work was all done with this torch. Like my dad once told me playing billiards, if you can't play with the bent cue that is in the bar room, you'll never be good, Wow. And so I like to try to use methods that are arcane, because the work that I do is most certainly arcane.
Yeah, most definitely. But you definitely have mastered it. You have come up with some beautiful, beautiful creations.
Thank you.
So I wanted opportunities. I'm glad you showed it. Why did you pick Memento Mori as the spirit box? And can you explain what Memento Mori means?
Sure. Memento Mori is Latin for the moment of death. And it is a recent philosophy that has been delivered. It's actually an ancient philosophy, but it is recently resurfaced into modern culture. And really what it means is it means that, death shadows us all the time. And it's important to understand that death shadows us, because once we understand that death is most certainly the end of the road, that we start to recognize what life really should be. And so if you meditate, or you are cognizant on that death being there around the corner, it makes you not only more aware in the moment, but it makes you more appreciative. It also drives empathy, I believe. And so the coin is really just a beautifully done coin, and I think it speaks to a lot of people. And so it's, I've certainly made spirit boxes out of other types of metals, silver included. But the Memento Mori is really, I think, one of the more popular ones, simply because of that philosophy behind it.
Right.
So it just walks beside us. Be cognizant of the life that you're living. Do good. Be a good human. Be light, because at any moment we could be taken. And until we realize that, I don't know that we really understand how we should be living.
Awesome. And that's one of the rings. I made my first Memento Mori ring, coin ring, maybe a couple months ago, and you gave me some advice on it. And I remember basically the advice that I've taken from you on your show as well, about keeping detail. Little tidbit you don't tell many people, but you shared on one of your live streams on Instagram. And I said, oh man, I got to take this and use this, because this is something to help me keep my detail. And I won't share that with other people right now. They can check that live stream out if you still have it up. But definitely, just the advice and some of the things I picked up from that you choose to share, I definitely appreciate that, because that coin ring is one of my everyday wears, and it helps remind me as well. Life is short, and don't take anything for granted. So when I saw the spirit box, I knew it would be a perfect gift. Definitely a beautiful creation that someone in the chat would definitely love. So right now, I'd like to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come down to Let's Chat to talk to some people.
My pleasure.
But before you leave, we'll be doing the giveaway. Okay? So guys, everyone put a 1 in the chat if you're ready for this giveaway. This is going to be the spirit box that was created by Lord Chavez, the Lord of the Coin Rings. But we're going to do a quick round to ask some fun questions. Everyone's ready. Everybody put 1. They're not joking. They want this spirit box. But we're going to do a quick round.
Thank you.
A quick round to ask some questions that I have on top of my head, and I want to see if Lord Chavez will answer the questions. Okay, are you ready, Laurel?
Shoot away, JT.
All right. What's your favorite food?
Oh, that's a tough one. I really like Greek food.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of the lamb beef that they use. So but it changes from week to week. This week it's Greek food.
Okay. Greek food. What's your favorite color?
My favorite color is blue.
Okay, blue is one of my favorites as well. The last book that you read?
The last book that I read was 100 Deadly Skills. It is a book by Tom Keith, who was a Navy SEAL.
Okay, awesome. Your favorite philosophical saying that you use a daily mantra?
I think it's my own philosophical saying, and that is to be a good human, be the light. And so right. I certainly try to say that every day as a mantra and live it.
Awesome. If you can meet anyone today, alive or dead, who would it be?
I think probably Nikola Tesla.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to ask why.
Because I think he had a lot of knowledge that, I go back and forth, because Da Vinci I would like to meet too, because I want to know why it took him so long to work on the Mona Lisa and why he felt he never had it finished. But I think that Nikola Tesla, had a lot of, he was an alchemist, and he had a lot of ideas that didn't get a lot of publicity, and it didn't even get to be put into our world as a reality as we know it. And so I would have loved to have had a discussion with him so that I could have maybe assisted in some of the provocation of that philosophy and that technology that he knew about.
Okay. Favorite pet: cat, lizard, dog, snake?
I like all of them. I think they all have their place. I have dogs, and I also have scorpions. Okay. So right. I've also owned cats, and I've also owned snakes in the past too. So I love all sentient beings, man. I think they're all beautiful.
Awesome. And last question: do you have the Philosopher's Stone?
If I did, I couldn't tell you I did.
Lord Chavez, thank you so much for joining me. We're about to do this giveaway. So guys, I'm about to put in the chat. I'm gonna have I'm picking the topic. I'm gonna write it down on a piece of paper. The first person that comes with it, they win. You Lord Chavez, can you tell the people where they can find you?
Oh, sure. I'm definitely not to the level of creating content like you, JT, on YouTube, which is just amazing. By the way, I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to be here with you and to share this channel with you and to talk to your subscribers. It's just an absolute honor. I am very simple. I'm just on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at Pure Metal Alchemy with underscores. So it's pure_metal_alchemy. And you're welcome to approach me there if there's something that you see that you like. What I tell people is watch my story. I don't post a lot of things to my feed. I'm very specific about the things that go into my feed in general. I think I have less than 50 posts.
Yes.
But my story is a 24/7 continuous. It is really a story. So I'm always posting my new art. I showcase lots of different funny things, lots of fails, lots of news. Lots of my artwork is showcased specifically in my Instagram story, but always feel free to approach me there. Just shoot me a DM. I'm very active on there. I'm also happy to video chat with any of the people that are looking for custom work. And as you stated at the beginning, I do a live show every Monday night on Instagram, and that time is at 10 p.m. Eastern. So at 10 p.m. Eastern every Monday, you can find me live on Instagram. I showcased one customer. I do their artwork live. And I really believe that allows that person to really feel like they're a part of the art itself. Yes. And so I really enjoyed doing it. I've been doing it now for about 2 years straight.
Wow. It's definitely a great opportunity to engage and also see the work. I'm amazed that you do it live. I always have the worst turnouts when I do live. Something goes wrong. And you have the ability, and I'm sure that that's just owed to your craft of you taking care and actually perfecting what you do. I'm amazed when you did the gold ring. I would have been terrified, but you've done many gold rings, and it's everything just comes out wonderful. And I know that the owner is definitely pleased when they receive the final result. So thank you once again. We're going to do this giveaway because I want someone to really take advantage. And I'm going to order my own. I think the Philharmonic is what I will love for myself. But the Spirit Box. So, guys, are you ready?